He came to her wedding to take revenge. But when she said, "You don't exist for me," his world collapsed. Now he will not forgive. The night before the wedding, I sat in the dimly lit corner of my apartment, a glass of whiskey in hand, the ice cubes barely clinking anymore. I stared at the invitation spread out before me. Its edges sharp, the script elegant and pristine. A wedding invitation. An odd thing to hold in your hand when you're no longer the person it was meant for. I didn't expect to be here, didn't plan on this. I thought I'd moved past it, past her, past everything. But somehow, here I was, holding this piece of paper, about to send a message I didn't think I was capable of. The wedding wasn't for me. That much I knew. It wasn't even about love. It was about showing off, the life I was supposed to have, the life she had walked away from. But I had a plan, and it was about to unfold in ways that neither of us could predict. I pulled the pen across the card, adding a small note, just below the line that invited me to witness their happiness. I want you to attend my wedding so you can see the grand life I'm going to have with Emily. I didn't expect her to come. Hell, I wasn't sure why I even sent it. Maybe it was for me. Maybe it was just to show her what she'd given up. The life I'd carved out. Something she'd never understand, never truly appreciate. 48 hours earlier, it all started with a phone call from Emily. She was excited. Giddy even. She had already made the plans. I could hear her laughter through the phone as she babbled about the wedding, the guests, the dress. Her dress. I didn't hear her speak much about anything else. The noise of the venue faded into the background as I let my mind wander. The wedding wasn't some small affair. It was extravagant. It was everything she wanted, the grand spectacle of it all, the kind of thing she thought she deserved, the kind of thing she'd always dreamed of. And as for me, I was just the plus one, the extra. I kept asking myself, why did I go along with this? I could have said no. I should have said no. But I didn't. Why? Because somewhere deep down, I still wanted to prove something. To show her that I wasn't the same guy she left. I wasn't a failure anymore. I had something to show for it. The dress, the venue, the photographer, the smiles, the glitz, all of it for one person, me. The day arrived, the tension thick in the air. I showed up at the venue in a crisp suit that I bought with my own money. I was starting to feel like I belonged somewhere, like the world owed me this moment. The world owed me this moment. As I walked inside, the lights from chandeliers above glinted off the white marble floors. It was too bright, too perfect, too much. There she was, standing at the altar, Emily. Her blonde hair was tied up in an elegant twist, and she was beaming, as if she had won some kind of prize. And I suppose, in a way, she had. She had me, and she had no idea how much I resented her for it. But I smiled anyway. I smiled because I knew she wouldn't be the last woman I'd ever need. It was Anna's face I kept seeing in the crowd. The one person who had once made me feel alive, only to shatter it. The woman who had walked away, leaving me to drown in my own frustration and unmet expectations. I still remembered the way she looked at me when she left. The cold finality of her gaze, as if she knew she was leaving behind nothing but ashes. But I was done being the one who was left behind. She was going to see the life I'd built. The ceremony went by, as most weddings do, predictable but beautiful in its own way. But when the reception started, something shifted. The real game began. I watched as Anna walked in. She didn't see me immediately, but I saw her, and with her was someone I didn't expect to see. Jake, her ex, the one who had always been a shadow lurking in the corners of our past. And there he was, stepping in as if he belonged beside her. The old me would have been furious. I should have been, but for some reason, I wasn't. No, instead I was intrigued. They walked over, both smiling. Jake seemed too comfortable, too familiar. And when they locked eyes, that little smile of hers, the one I'd seen 100 times when she thought she was getting away with something, returned. She noticed me then. Her gaze flickered toward mine. That fleeting moment when recognition set in. "Well," she said, walking up to me with that same ice-cold stare, "look who's moved on." Her words stung more than I expected. more than I wanted to admit, but I couldn't show it. I couldn't let her see it. Instead, I smiled back, cold and controlled, and that's when I whispered, in a voice only she could hear, I invited you here to see exactly what you walk away from. As the night unfolded, the tension simmered, bubbling just below the surface. Emily noticed something was off. Anna's presence was like a magnet, pulling at the seams of my resolve. But it was too late to turn back now, because the plan was already set into motion. Then why did you do it? I shot back, my voice low but sharp. Why did you leave me, Anna? Was it really because of him? Was it really just a game to you? She was silent for a long moment. The room seemed to get smaller, the walls pressing around us as I waited for her to respond. But instead of answering, she finally looked away, her gaze flicking nervously to the door. I don't know what you want from me, she said, almost as if she was talking to herself. What did I want from her? The question echoed in my mind. I didn't know anymore. I just knew that this had to end. It had to. I couldn't keep playing the victim in this twisted dance we'd been stuck in for years. And then, out of nowhere, the door swung open. Jake stepped in, his face flushed with the kind of panic you only see when someone realizes they've crossed a line they can't come back from. His eyes darted between us, catching the tension that had thickened in the room. I didn't have to say anything. He could tell something was wrong. What's going on? Jake asked, his voice hesitant, like he was about to witness something he wasn't supposed to. Anna's face hardened at the sight of him, and she quickly turned away. Nothing. Just nothing. Jake took a step closer. Anna, we need to talk. The whole point of... I know, Jake. She snapped, cut him off. I know. I couldn't help but smirk at the awkwardness that hung between them now. They had been playing their parts, too, just like I had, but now the pieces were starting to slip. Jake, still oblivious to the undercurrents of our conversation, glanced at me. Dylan, look, I don't know what's going on, but... Don't. You don't get to act like you care, Jake. I said, my voice harsh. You and Anna have been running this little game behind my back, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I didn't see it. Jake recoiled, stunned by my words. Anna took a deep breath, clearly ready to shift the blame, but I wasn't going to let her this time. I wasn't going to be the one left holding the broken pieces. Not anymore. You think you can just walk in here with that look on your face, pretend like nothing happened? I asked, eyes locking with Anna's. You can't erase what you've done. Not this time. Anna's face flushed, her lips parted as if she wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. She looked over at Jake, then back at me, her gaze finally softening. I wasn't sure if it was guilt, shame, or something else entirely, but I saw it the moment she realized she had pushed too far. She had no idea how far I was willing to take this. You think this is over? I asked quietly, my voice almost a whisper now. I've been playing your game all these years, Anna. I thought you were the one who was winning, but I've been biding my time, watching, waiting. Her eyes widened at my words, and for a moment, she actually looked scared. You're wrong, she said quickly, shaking her head. I'm not playing games with you. But I was done listening to her excuses. Before she could finish, I turned toward the door, signaling the end of this confrontation. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. I had done enough for her already. I'll let you figure this out, I said, my voice steady. But know this, I've already moved on. I stepped out of the room, leaving them behind, leaving the wedding behind. I had made my point. The game wasn't over, not by a long shot. And this time, it was her who was going to watch me walk away. The air was thick with something unspoken as I made my way out of the venue. The laughter and clinking glasses from inside felt distant now, muffled by the weight in my chest. I hadn't expected the confrontation to be so satisfying, but it was. I felt something break free, like a switch had been flipped inside me. Anna, Jake, none of it mattered anymore. They were just pawns in a game I was done playing. But as I stepped into the cold night air, the reality of what had just happened hit me. It wasn't over. It couldn't be. There were still pieces left to move. I didn't know what I was expecting when I got into my car, But it wasn't the silence that followed. The engine rumbled to life beneath me, but my mind was somewhere else. I should have felt anger, regret, or maybe even betrayal, but instead, there was just emptiness. I couldn't remember the last time I'd been truly happy, the last time something felt real. I pulled out of the parking lot and started driving, not caring about the direction, just needing space. The city lights blurred as I sped through the streets, my grip tightening on the wheel. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew I needed to be alone, to think. I had told Anna I'd moved on, but the truth was much darker than that. I hadn't moved on. I had simply buried everything. My feelings for her, for Bella, for the mess I created. I had convinced myself that I was fine, that I was better off without her. But now, with the remnants of the night floating around me, I couldn't stop the realization from sinking in. I had been lying to myself. I didn't just want closure. I wanted revenge. I pulled into a deserted parking lot near the edge of the city. The lights were dim and the air was still. I shut off the engine and sat there for what felt like an eternity. My mind raced, the anger bubbling up again, but it wasn't the anger I had when she left me. It wasn't the bitterness I used to feel. No, this was something colder, something deeper, something I had kept hidden for far too long. I had told myself that I had no one to blame but myself. But that wasn't true. I had blamed Anna, blamed the world, blamed everyone, except for the one person who had truly wronged me. Me. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't keep running away from this. So I grabbed my phone and dialed the one number I had been avoiding. The call rang through, and after a few seconds, I heard the voice on the other end. Dylan? Emily's voice was tentative, unsure. I took a deep breath, the weight of everything pressing down on me. I need to talk to you. I didn't expect her to show up at my apartment so quickly, but there she was, knocking at the door like it was any other day. She looked good, too good, the kind of good that made me feel like I had no place in her world anymore. But I didn't let that stop me. I opened the door, and she stepped inside without a word, her gaze scanning the room. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "You've been off. All night." I didn't know where to start, so I didn't. I just walked over to the couch and sat down, motioning for her to join me. When she did, I turned to her and said, "I need to know something." She looked at me, her eyes searching mine, waiting. "What? Did you know what was going on between Anna and me?" I asked, my voice low, almost like I was daring her to tell me the truth. She blinked, her face freezing for a split second before she quickly covered it up. "What are you talking about?" "Don't lie to me, Emily," I said, frustration creeping into my tone. "I know you knew. Everyone knew. You and Jake and Anna. Hell, even your family probably knew. But you—" I pointed at her, anger flaring for the first time in hours. "You weren't on it." Her face paled, and she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. It didn't matter. I had already made up my mind. "I thought you were different," I said, my voice bitter. "I thought you were someone I could trust. Someone who wouldn't screw me over like everyone else has. But now, I'm starting to see that I was just a pawn in your game, too." "Dylan, please," she said, her voice breaking. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away, the cold distance between us growing. "No, you don't get to do that." I snapped. "I don't need your pity. I don't need any of this anymore." She stared at me, her eyes wide and filled with confusion. But I could see it now. The way she was trying to control the situation, the way she thought she could keep me wrapped around her finger. "You've already ruined everything," I said quietly, my eyes never leaving hers. "And now, I'm going to make sure you understand what that feels like." She stood up, her hands trembling, but I didn't move. I didn't need to. The damage was already done. There was no going back. "Dylan, she started, but I didn't let her finish. "Get out," I said. My voice was harsh, and I didn't care. "Just leave. I'm done." She hesitated for a moment longer, and then, without another word, she turned and walked out of the room. I didn't watch her go. I didn't care to. I sat there alone in the silence of my apartment, my mind racing. This was it. This was the turning point. I wasn't going to let anyone control me anymore. Not Anna. Not Emily. Not anyone. This was my game now, and I wasn't going to lose. I sat there in the silence of my apartment, my mind a storm of thoughts that kept swirling in endless circles. The anger had finally bled out of me, but something darker, more insidious, was taking its place. Something that I couldn't quite name, but I could feel it deep in my gut. It was a realization that everything I believed about myself, about Anna, about the people around me, had been a lie. I was the one who had been played. The door slammed behind Emily, and I didn't flinch. I didn't feel the sting of her leaving. If anything, I felt a strange sense of relief. She was just another piece in a game I had long stopped playing. I stood up, pacing the room, my mind reeling. What now? The wedding, the confrontation with Anna. It was all leading up to this. I had hoped that once I got it all out, once I made her see what she had done to me, it would end, that I'd be free. But I wasn't free. Not yet. I glanced at my phone. There were still messages I hadn't read. Messages from Bella, from Anna, even from some friends who had been at the wedding, wondering if I was okay. I ignored them all. I didn't need them anymore. I didn't need anyone. I grabbed my keys, slamming them into the ignition of my car, barely taking the time to pull out of the parking lot. My hands were steady, my heart oddly calm as I drove through the dark streets, the headlights cutting through the night. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit here and let everything continue, not when I knew I had the power to turn the tables. The drive seemed to last forever. My thoughts were a blur of rage and confusion, but one thing stuck with me. The file, the one thing I hadn't shown Anna, the one thing that would destroy everything. It was time. When I pulled up in front of her house, I didn't think twice. I knew exactly what I needed to do. It wasn't about getting revenge anymore. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about ending this, once and for all. I walked up the front steps, barely acknowledging the world around me. The house was quiet, the lights off, but I knew she would be there. I knew she was waiting for this moment. The one I had promised would come. I didn't knock. I didn't need to. I opened the door, and she was there, standing in the living room, her expression a mix of confusion and expectation. "You shouldn't have come," she said softly, but there was no malice in her tone. No anger, just the kind of resignation I had come to expect from her. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Instead, I pulled the file from my bag and slammed it down onto the coffee table in front of her. Her eyes widened as she took in sight of it. The court documents, the emails, the photographs, the proof, everything she had tried to keep buried. I saw the color drain from her face as she skimmed the pages. She hadn't seen this coming. "I knew you were hiding something," I said quietly. "You really thought you could keep me in the dark, didn't you?" Her hand shook as she reached for the papers, but I stopped her before she could touch them. "No, you don't get to hide behind your lies anymore. This ends now." She looked at me, her eyes desperate, pleading. "Dylan, please, you don't understand. It's not what you think." But I wasn't interested in her explanations anymore. The truth was right there in front of her, and she couldn't deny it. "I thought I'd lost everything when you left," I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and something else, something deeper. But I was wrong. I hadn't lost the game. You were the one who did. Her eyes filled with tears as she tried to speak, but the words failed her. And just like that, everything I had hoped for her, the final confrontation, the reckoning, the justice, felt hollow. I didn't feel victorious. I felt numb. She stood there, frozen, unable to meet my gaze. And for the first time in years, I saw her for what she truly was. Not the woman who had left me shattered, but a person just as broken as I was. And in that moment, I realized something important. I didn't need to destroy her. I needed to destroy the part of me that still wanted to hurt her. I turned and walked out the door, leaving the file behind. It didn't matter anymore. The game was over. I didn't look back.